welcome to another episode of We Are Not Wizards. My name's Richard. I'll be your host for Thursday. It could be Tuesday. You don't know when I'm recording this. It could be Sunday. Doesn't matter. Because after all, it's your podcast. Joining me today, right? Everybody should pay attention and listen. This is one of the most important people in the board game industry. Right? Forget your designers. Forget your developers. Yeah? This is Simon Ayres. Simon Ayres is a potential customer. He's the reason that you guys are all sweating your blood and your tears and doing your designs and doing your play testing and going to all those conferences and cons and stuff like that. Yeah. Simon's the guy that hands over the money and keeps you in your Kickstarters and keeps you in a job. Oh, so
when you put it that way, yes. So, I didn't know where you were going with that, but no.
That's fine. That's right, fine. Yeah. So what's your first declaration, Your Majesty? Or do you just prefer Lord Ayres? Is it Your Grace that I have to come?
Sir's fine. Sir's fine.
Okay, sir. Do you know what? The reason that we got Simon on is quite simply is because I just put a word out and says he'd like to come on, and Simon says, "Oh, you know." And did I ask you? I don't know.
I don't think you did. I think you put out a tweet something about magic, and I replied, and then you suddenly invited me on. So I felt a little bit like Charlie Bucket from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
I kind of went, I kind of like went, I did. I'm just checking. I DM'd you and went, actually, if you weren't, you can come on the show.
Yeah,
and you
absolutely.
Went, really? Really? But why? It's because you're a lord. That's why. It's good to get some aristocracy and not have to deal with the normal oinks. Rule Britannia and all that. God bless the Queen, etc., etc. So it kind of went from there. So tonight is just a chat. You know, there's nothing to plug. There's nothing to push. We've not got a pimp. I've not got to ignore people wanting to talk about their game for the first 25 minutes and then go, oh, we better talk about your game. How are you this evening? Are you well? How are you this morning then? Or whenever. Are you well?
I am very well, thank you, yeah. I mean, obviously I'm missing a bit of the World Cup, but, I don't mind.
Or you can put it on in the background. I mean, it's fine for people to be doing other things while they're like going on the podcast.
I suppose I could, but I can only concentrate on one thing at once, personally. So,
not that I'm bitter. Anyway, it's fine. Let's move on from that. I don't even know who's playing tonight, to be honest.
It's Croatia-Argentina at the moment, I think.
Oh, so it's
a big game.
Potentially a really big game. And I just like to point out that we kind of, did you not look at the fixtures before you decided to say yes? I'm obviously pushing the blame on yourself.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. It's your podcast. You push the blame wherever you like.
You can come back, Your Majesty. One of the things we like to do, as with everybody, is we like to find a little bit about people's history. So we're going to have to stare back at the graces of the past while we focus on the heirs of the present and jump off into the royalty of the future. Do you like what I did?
Nice. Yeah, that was good. Yeah. I'm enjoying that.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about your history?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I played quite a few games when I was younger. Like everyone seems to say. I remember making my family play Hero Quest for quite a long time. They were definitely sick of it by the time we got rid of it. So I loved that game, but I don't think they were quite as enamoured with it, to be honest.
You still got it?
No, it's gone. I don't know where, but it's gone. Because I'd love to play it now. I'm sure it's rubbish, but I'd love to play it.
It's actually, I played it not that long ago. I had it, and then I kind of passed it on to somebody else I know who would be showing it some love.
Yeah.
And it's really, really difficult.
Yeah, I remember I remember being like the Overlord player, so that's probably why my family didn't like it much. Because from what I remember, you just throw Chaos Warriors at them until they fall over.
It's basically, and especially if you did your own map, because if you did your own map, it was it's your right to actually fill a room entirely full of monsters and say, try and destroy that. I remember making my own map and having a room full of monsters, and then having a secret passage. And in that secret passage there was a chest, and if you opened that chest there was like a kind of a fireball spell that would destroy all the creatures in a room. So I was expecting people to kind of like be searching in and in Hero Quest you don't go searching down corridors unless somebody like the DM or the dungeon master throws massive hints. So so every single time somebody played in this, they get into the last moment of the game, there's just like that. There's like all of the monsters were there, even the sorcerer, and I was just like, I can't, this is rubbish. So that was as good as I was at DM. I mean, I've obviously kept that up to date. It's still very fun. It's incredibly difficult because it's like roll and move. It's absolutely horrible. Yeah. Did you stay with games then? I mean, are you one of the people that's kind of like stayed, or did you do the staying at what came after Hero Quest?
Well, I sort of dipped in and out really. I mean, I still played kind of Monopoly and Cluedo with the family and other bits like that. But I remember trying to run a D&D session when I was about 10 or 11 maybe for one of my birthdays, and that went horrendously. And kind of at the start of the adventure, you're meant to try and encourage the players to talk to each other to build a backstory. I kind of said that at the start, and there were just like 6 of my friends looking at me completely blankly, and like looking as if they wanted to leave as quickly as possible. So I knocked that on the head quite quickly.
Did you kind of bring in party rules and say, "Listen, this is my party"?
I know I wanted to. I can't remember if I actually did. I probably had my parents on the door or something.
Tell them to play with me.
Yeah, that's
Tell them to play. I want to play Dungeons and Dragons.
It's my birthday.
Tell them to imagine the world for me, Mum. Well, nobody's getting cake.
That's it. But I mean, I don't think I did much until maybe 6th form at school, so 15, 16. Kind of got into a bit of Magic. Magic the Gathering. God, not actual magic. Before I get in trouble.
Have you done your homework, Ayres? Would you like to see this lovely bunch of flowers?
I mean, I remember playing Magic sort of every lunchtime for, 18 months or so.
Really?
Yeah.
See, nowadays in schools, if kids like anything for more than about 3 weeks, you get the letter home saying it's banned now.
Yeah, we did. We did get a bit.
We kind of noticed your children have been having fun. Yeah. So we've decided the best thing to do is to ban anything like that. It's just, I don't know. I can't imagine. Did you have quite a big collection then?
Yeah, I had a fairly big collection. I mean, I didn't spend as much as other people did on it, which is probably why I didn't do very well each time. But I remember, this is really bad, I remember I threw them away when I was going to uni. So, God, like 15 years ago I threw them away, and they're probably worth like 6 million now or something. But
what did you throw? Like a black orchid or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Rubbish card. It's just all black.
Yeah,
it's not even very good. It's a bit rubbish.
Yeah.
Chuck that in the bin. What are you going to do with the other one? The other one I'm just going to pick my teeth with.
I think I might have played a bit of Blood Bowl as well at secondary school, possibly. I remember being rubbish at that as well. It's kind of a theme that I'm pretty much terrible at all games.
I'm staggeringly mediocre.
Yeah.
I always got, that's got a tone about PE. I think on my report card it was Richard performs averagely, if not unspectacularly, at PE. And it was just like, that was the nicest possible way of saying, you're not really any good at this, are you? Kind of thing. So,
that is a beautiful phrase. I like that.
It is just fantastic, and obviously helped me to build up to become the confident person that I am today. At least if I aim for a mediocre, I'm not going to disappoint anybody at all.
That's right.
It's expected.
Yeah.
Basically, which is why we always go for the 5, because we're average. So, but I mean, Blood Bowl. I mean, Blood Bowl's reissued, and it's always one of these games that I kind of went back to. So, did you carry on from there then? I mean, or did you have your lull, and was that you, and then you found it again? Later on, like a lot of people do.
Yeah, I had a big old lull. I went off to uni, and then came back from that after a few years, and I didn't find it again until maybe 4 years ago. So there was a gap of maybe 10 years in there, where I didn't really game at all. I was kind of video gaming as well, but not on a massive scale really. I didn't do anything outdoors like sport or anything like that. I don't really know what occupied my time now. Think about it, but
just sat about watching telly, and being sad about music. I think. Yeah,
probably actually. Yeah, music was quite a big part of my life at uni actually. So, that was probably it. But yeah, I had no idea there were any other good games around at all until sort of 4 or 5 years ago.
So how did it happen? I mean, set the scene. What was the kind of, how did you come storming back into the hobby?
Well, I used to read Eurogamer, the video gaming site.
Yeah.
So I used to read that and keep up with that every day. And then one day there was a review on there of the Gears of War board game. And it was written by Quinns from Shut Up and Sit Down.
Oh, yeah.
And I read it, and I was just completely amazed that a game could do something like that. It was... I mean, it's not even... I don't think it's even particularly that innovative. I mean, I've never actually played it, but it doesn't seem that innovative, but it was just so far outside of what I was used to that I kind of just thought I've got to have a look at what else is out there. So I subscribed to their YouTube channel straight away, and I watched quite a lot of videos with them. I also started watching Rado as well. He made me purchase my first ever game, which was Macau.
Oh yeah, okay.
Stefan Feld, loads of cubes. It's brilliant. Lots of cubes, lots of dice, lots of points. Amazing.
Just imagine you like American Beauty, just lying in the bath with cubes and dice.
To be honest, I don't think I was quite sure what I'd got myself into with that one, because it's not incredibly complex, but for a first game, it's a little bit. I suppose it's not really a traditional gateway.
No, you're like jumping straight into the. You're kind of missing out the soft stuff and going straight into the kind of the middle of the road.
Yeah.
Complicated stuff.
Yeah.
I guess.
And around the same time, I bought Dominion as well, which I suppose is more traditional. But my wife hated that, so we got rid of that. And Ticket to Ride as well, I bought around the same time, which both of us love as kind of a quick game to play in the evening. And we can play it sort of 4 or 5 times in an evening.
So do you play? Is the majority of gaming that you do is that with your wife? Then you play?
We don't play so much at the moment actually, because we're quite busy with her work and the little one running about and refusing to go to bed till 9:30 or whatever. So that doesn't really work every evening.
Are they still up just now, or are they?
No, he's in bed now.
Well, that's all right.
I think. I hope he's asleep. I can't hear him, so I'm sure it's fine.
I'm sure he'd write us a strongly worded letter if he was upset.
I'm sure he would. He can undo the stairgate now anyway, so he'd just come down and see me.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's probably time to take it down, but I don't know. It's not really a deterrent anymore because he just walks up to it and opens it.
But it's the complication that's knowing it's there.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to kind of sleepwalking at the top through, and that's kind of like my worst nightmare.
Yeah.
There's always knowing that if I had left the stairgate open, it's like, well, what happens if he'd walked through and fallen down, and then it would be all mine.
Yeah.
My fault, and I don't know how I would live with myself. Kind of.
Yeah, cheers for that. I'll go and check it.
I'm talking about my one, not you.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. You've made me paranoid.
No, it's all good. I'm
sure
it's all good.
Yeah. So at the moment, it's probably not as much as I'd like with my wife, really. But I've got there's a gaming club in Colchester. In fact, there's quite a few around here.
Yeah.
So it's one I go to every month on a Wednesday night, which is good. And I've got a couple of people I used to work with that I game with a lot, and another former workmate that I game with a lot as well. So yeah, I do get a fair amount in.
Well, that's pretty good. Do you buy a lot, or are you the type of person that'll rock up and kind of play whatever's coming on the table? Are you a bit of a collector yourself, or are you kind of an occasional kind of splurger?
I'm probably more occasional now.
Yeah.
Because obviously I don't have an income coming in, so I don't want to sort of throw anyone else's money around on board games, really.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm normally up for trying most things in board games apps, apart from Wiz War. Again, I'm never playing that again, and that's not because of this podcast. It's because it's not a very good game. I don't think.
What's wrong with Wiz War?
It's just too chaotic for me. I mean, the only time I played it, I got hit in the head with a rock and then punched to death by someone else, and it's like a sorcery game, you know. At least hit me with a fireball or something. Don't just throw a stone at me and then punch me in the face. It doesn't feel fair somehow.
Get hit with a bit of igneous rock.
Yeah.
It's from a volcano. Was it a magic volcano? Well, it wasn't really, so it doesn't really count, was it? And then somebody punches you to death.
Yeah, exactly.
That must be the biggest insult.
It was, yeah.
Towards the end, they were just flicking you with their finger. They won't even try. Die.
I think I managed to put one rose bush down, and then that was it. I was
really
dead. So yeah, I'm not playing that again. But I mean, generally, I don't take my games to the meeting that much because I generally tend to have kind of heavier games at home. And lighter stuff I play at the club is other people's. And I'm not massively confident at doing rules explanations either, to be honest. So at the moment, I'm more of a player than a bringer.
Yeah, I think there's a skill to teaching rules. I think there's a guy at the club that I go to, and he's just like, you could, if he's sitting down, if he's the guy that's in charge of the rule book, you know you're gonna have a fun time because he just got this. He just makes it effortless.
Yeah,
he knows all the little bits. I think the last time I played, it was played Clank.
Oh yeah.
And we just rattled through that, and he went, and you do this, and you do that, and you'd ask him, and he says, yeah, and you do this, and there was no doubt, there was a kind of an air of confidence about him because he knew exactly what he was saying.
Yeah.
But if I'm doing it, I'm just like, nope, hang on a minute, I'm sure I saw the rule for that down, let me just check, oh my goodness, let's just check this book. Okay, it's in page, it's here no, I can't find, why is there no index in this thing? You know, and that's kind of how it goes.
Yeah.
You mentioned you got heavy games, so what kind of games you got in your collection on the heavy side?
On the heavier side, I've got A Distant Plane, which is one of the coin games, which is obviously one of the ones that Katie Aidley is always championing, which is brilliant. I love that game. That was quite an early purchase. I'm not entirely sure why, to be honest, but I'm really glad I got it. It's a really good game. Excuse me. I've also got a few Phil Eklund games. So I've got BIOS Genesis and BIOS Megafauna,
Alright.
which are
sound quite heavy. That sounds quite a heavy game.
Yeah, they are amazing. They are amazing simulations. As games, they're BIOS Genesis is really chaotic because it's about the starting of life on Earth. So, you know, you might create something that dies the next turn, but that's just kind of how it goes. There's nothing you can really do about it. Which, although I didn't like it in Wiz War, I kind of like it in BIOS Genesis because there's no player agency at all. It's not a player doing that to you. It's the environment. And it's good for education as well. It's good for learning. There's a lot of text on the cards, and it's all very kind of well researched. That's very good. I've only played it once with other people, and it took us maybe 6 hours, I think, probably 4 player. But it was
so are you a Twilight Imperium type game? Is that kind of your kind of bag? Eclipse and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've never played Twilight Imperium, but I really would like to. It's one of the ones I'd love to get in. But yeah, I'd say if I had the choice, I'd rather play kind of 1 4-hour game than kind of 4 1-hour games. Just because I kind of like the stories that emerge, and you know, you get to build dynamics between the players. and you get to understand the game more as you go through. So they're the kind of things that I like, really.
Okay. So, I mean, with that, is there stuff that you've played recently that's kind of really lit your fire? That you've kind of went, oh yeah, I like this. At the club or, or home time. Is there anything you're coveting, I guess, at the moment that you'd like to get your hands on?
Well, I played Dominant Species a few months back, which is absolutely incredible. I really, really enjoyed that. That's really good. It's brutal. Absolutely brutal. Yeah. The guy explaining the rules to us did warn us it was brutal at the start, but I don't think we were quite prepared for it. I actually came second in that one, which is incredibly good for me. But again, that was another kind of 3 or 4 hour game at the pub, which is such a good experience. It can be played solo as well, which a lot of the heavier games can, which I think is a kind of another thing that attracts me to them really. But then again, on the other end of the scale, the other weekend I played a couple of games of Pandemic Legacy, which I'm working through with a friend, and Clans of Caledonia as well, which is quite a kind of streamlined.
Is it good? Is Clans of Caledonia kind of good? Because I've heard mixed. I've not heard mixed. I've heard like a couple of folk kind of rant and rave about it, and then I've had 1 or 2 people kind of go, "No, it's fine. It's not amazing. It really, really is fine." And I can understand that, and I can appreciate that from people having a difference of an opinion over a game. These things happen. But was it good? Did you enjoy Clans of Caledonia?
I did enjoy it. I did. It was quite nice to. It was quite a nice kind of engine building Euro, and it feels like things kind of ramp up in the right place. Sometimes games you kind of get an engine going and then it finishes, and you haven't really been able to do anything awesome with it. But Clans of Caledonia, towards the end, the last couple of turns, like me and Ben, who I was playing with, we were both doing good things with what we'd built, which was pretty good. It didn't outstay its welcome, and it didn't end too early either. So for me, it was perfect. It's probably not in my top 5, to be honest. But it is a very good game. I'd definitely play it again. There seems to be quite a lot of replayability with the different clans and the different kind of starting setups, different starting resources. So I would recommend it, definitely, yeah.
What about what about things like A Feast for Odin and stuff like that? Is that kind of your yum?
Do you know what? I'm not really a big Uwe fan. I played Agricola. I've played Agricola a few times, and I'm terrible at it, to get that out of the way first. This isn't...
It seems to be a common theme.
I suppose I can just leave it unsaid from now on. But
you're definitely 5 stars.
But Agricola didn't really float my boat, to be honest. It was really dry. And I played Nussfjord a couple of weeks ago at... There's a new convention in Colchester called Colcon, which was on for the first time this year. So I went to that and I played Nussfjord, which is one of the newer ones. And again, it was fine. It was, you were building stuff, you were doing things, but to me it just felt a little bit dry. And so, with Uwe specifically, I don't really get on with that. But there might be others that I should try. I don't know.
I think you're right. I think it depends when you're coming down to engine building. And I think Terraforming Mars suffers from this a bit, is that it all relies on you getting the engine right, and you're either going to have a good time with the engine or you're going to have a bad time with the engine.
Yeah.
And you're going to get to the point where you can just buy, like, a good game of Terraforming Mars, as far as of what I've seen, is you can put in, like, harsh language and you come out with, like, 52 different resources once you've kind of rattled everything through. I've always gone on the record and saying I just don't like Terraforming Mars. I didn't like certain parts of it that I felt broke the rest of the game.
Okay.
To be honest, in terms of the kind of if a company has to come out and say, "Oh, listen, you should be playing it with this rule if you're finding that this isn't working," it's kind of like says to me, "Oh, okay, why didn't you kind of figure that out before you kind of released it?"
Yeah.
But then I put Terraforming Mars and Magic the Gathering in the same bed, which isn't a bed, it's a box, and it's downstairs, and the box is on fire, and so is everything else. This is one I just don't know. As I said before, Terraforming Mars was a game I kind of walked away and went, right, I've done Terraforming Mars, great. It's like kind of like abseiling. It's one of these things you would like to do, but you're probably going to get to the bottom and say, I'm going to score that off my list, but I'm never, ever going to do it again unless I get in that action movie kind of thing.
I mean, that's exactly kind of how I felt about Agricola, I think, really. It was kind of enduring it through to the end. And I did give it another go because I thought, maybe there's something I missed on the first playthrough that I just skipped over or something. But I mean, I went again and I came out with the same kind of feeling, really.
Yeah, it's just because you're expecting the magic to happen, and then when it doesn't, and then when you're not floored by something, but then is it not? Then it comes down to popular doesn't necessarily mean something's good. Which is always a strange thing. It's like, I mean, there's some games that naturally everybody kind of floats to and enjoys and loves, but it's okay for somebody to say they don't like something. That's fine, That's absolutely kind of fine. Are you? I mean, you got stuff that you mentioned. Obviously, you've not played Twilight Imperium. So would that be a game that you'd love to get your hands on? Then?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to. I'd love to spend an entire day, like a 10-hour session, just playing Twilight Imperium. Because I went to SawCon, which is another kind of local con round here. I went to that in February, and there was a table of guys playing 18xx.
Right, okay,
and they were doing that. They were doing that all day, and I'd love to do that, kind of just, nipping out for coffee and stuff, and coming back in and sitting back down and seeing what's going on. And there were guys playing Twilight Imperium behind us on another table, and I was always kind of had one eye on them to see what was going on because it just looks really good to me, really good. But at the moment I don't really have the opportunity to spend an entire day playing a game.
No. You've got, as I say, we've kind of got child commitments and resource commitments, and to be honest, as I said, everything that I own is currently in a cardboard box.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm actually
inside a cardboard box.
I wondered what it was.
It's not that. It's just like everything gets packed. It's like I had a cup of tea last night, right?
Yeah.
I put my cup of tea down. I look to the right to grab a gluten-free biscuit. I looked back to the left, and my cup was gone. It had been packed. And then I looked back to console myself and grab a gluten-free biscuit. And those had been packed as well. So you just can't. It's just like we've got kind of like some kind of, it's and they walk about making the sound of bubble wrap. It's quite scary. Bubble wrap and the cutting of tape. By teeth.
That sound get.
That's quite just just going tink. That I don't even so that's where my life is. I'm lucky. I'm actually pacing back and forward because I'm worried if I stop moving, I'm gonna end. All you're gonna hear is a welcome to Minute, that kind of thing. So it's not gonna be good.
Sorry, I'll hold it down on my own if that happens. Don't worry.
You just continue. Yeah. I'll just continue. It'll just be one man screaming into the void.
If there's one thing I can't do, actually, it's cut tape with my teeth. I've never been able to do it. It's one of those skills I don't possess.
It's just 10 minutes.
Yeah. Without a pair of scissors, I'm absolutely screwed.
I just remember one of my kids tried to do it and ended up with it like they must have figured it the wrong way and the tape floated up and stuck to their head. So they'd almost ended up, was it League of Gentlemen? Yeah. You know how they stick their noses straight up. And then obviously the brown, it wasn't normal sellotape, it was the brown packing tape, so it must have just gently kind of floated up and then on top of the head, and then obviously you had to take it off, and they're like, no, slow down, you just had to rip. Just rip it off, and I can't think of anything kind of more painful or funnier, to be honest, at the time. It's like, Dad, take it off. No, let's do a selfie. I want Facebook to flood this memory every year for the next 50 years. Thanks very much. Do you okay, here's a couple of, as I said, you are the most important person that we've ever had on the show, apart from other important people,
of course,
who I don't want to offend, who might be wanting to come back on the show again. But as a consumer, as somebody who goes out and buys, in terms of being able to get hold of games and stuff like that, what's your attitude with regards to kind of like Kickstarter? Because as you say, you're in a position where actually, well, if I go out and back like a Kickstarter, I'd be using somebody else's money.
Yeah.
Is Kickstarter strictly off the table? And because Kickstarter maybe being strictly off the table, you're kind of like, well, this is rubbish because I'm never going to get to play all these games that people keep on harking on about are brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, I've backed a few Kickstarters in the last 18 months. So, I've maybe backed 3, I think, actually. So I backed 878 Vikings by Academy Games, which is a lovely sort of 4-player war game. That's brilliant, that.
Yeah.
And then the 2, the Phil Eklund games, so Genesis and Megafauna. And then there's the kind of follow-on ones, which are Neanderthal and Greenland. So I've backed kind of a few, but they were relatively low price points. So they were kind of the basic edition, no frills. I just want the game. Don't give me any extra sort of minis I'd need to paint or any little houses I need to mess around with. Just give me the base game. But in terms of the new games coming out on Kickstarter, I mean, sure there are probably some that I'd like to back, but I don't see any of it as particularly crucial. There's nothing that kind of jumps out at me. I mean, there are a few things that I kind of watch on Kickstarter, but to be honest, the position I'm in at the moment, I buy some from bring and buy sales. So, at cons and stuff, I'll go up to the bring and buy table and see if there's a bargain on there, or if any kind of online retailer is having sort of a clear out, I'll generally go for that. But there's nothing, I mean, I can't say, because if something came up that I really wanted, I probably would back it, but again, it's a big question of the price for me. And
do you think and again, using your wisdom, and hope you're all listening out there, people that are project creating, is expecting somebody to drop kind of 80 or 90 or 100 large, is that kind of taking the piss now? Considering the way kind of things are and stuff like that. I mean, obviously there are people that their standard kind of Kickstarters out there where to get into the game, you're dropping $100 and that's it. And if you don't drop the $100, then, you need to go. You need to take court.
Yeah.
You're not allowed back in the house kind of thing.
I mean, I don't know if it's always been this way, but it does feel like there's kind of a 2-tier or maybe 3-tier system going on these days, where you've got like your £100, like thousands of minis, art books, whatever you want to throw into it, like massive coffin boxes that are going for sort of 100, 150, even more. Things like Kingdom Death and things like that going for even more than that. And then you've kind of got probably more your midweight games that are still going for kind of 50, 60 for the base pledge, and then you've got like the smaller kind of either card-based games or small box games that are more reasonable, kind of 15, 20. And I think obviously there's nothing wrong with the $100 games if you can afford it, but I think some people are being priced out of experiencing games and mechanisms, maybe because of all the extra bits that get lumped on top that push the price point up. And Kickstarter's very much about the aesthetics of things. It seems to me like that's the first thing that people look at. They'll look at the aesthetics, then maybe they'll look at who designs it, and then maybe they'll look at kind of the rules. The stretch goals will be up there as well. They'll want to know what they're going to get. You know, they want to know what the best thing that they can get for their money. It's not a site I'm massively happy with, to be honest, but I think it's been good for the industry in that a lot more designers are getting their work out there. But whether it's always being used for the right purposes, I'm not entirely sure.
You know what? I think what I see at the moment, I see lots of good games not being funded that sound fascinating, and I really want them to be funded.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, guys, you're going up against kind of people that are funding for £2-3 million at the moment, and I'm just thinking your game kind of, I don't know, it's like, but then you say, well, if they were wanting to be funded, they should have put more effort in. But I think there's some games out there that just, you know, they're a really, really good idea, and just because the guys aren't marketeers, they're never going to kind of get out there, you know.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think one of the ones is, we had him on the show, was, and I'm gonna mention him here because, you know, it's my show, I'll get out.
Do it.
It was Brian Cronin who did, I think it's One Last Job.
Okay.
And that sounds like a fantastic kind of card-based heist game.
Yeah.
And you know, he's got like 9 days to go, and he's at like $8,000, almost $9,000, and the budget's like $40,000. So
yeah, that's,
you know, it's huge, and it's, especially if it's a card game. But it sounds like there's going to be like lots of lovely kind of different things going on, and we had a really good chat, and we had a good conversation about it, and it sounded like it was like really going to be good fun and fantastic. And I'm looking at it, and I've read the rules a couple of times, and it sounds fascinating, and I'm sad because I'm looking at it thinking this might not see light of day, and it's a really, really good kind of different kind of game.
Yeah, and surely that was the thing that Kickstarter was originally made for, right? That kind of original, kind of independent kind of game that was meant to be looking for funding, not, you know, no disrespect to them, because I'm sure their games are brilliant, but I haven't played any. But no disrespect to kind of Simon, but they, you know, they're a massive company. They're turning over kind of millions from these Kickstarters. Is that really what the site was made for? And that's, you know, probably a little bit kind of left-wing, liberal, anti-capitalist rubbish. But you know, let's hold hands and
cry, Simon.
That's it. But you know, that kind of thing kind of annoys me a little bit when I see big games. You've got kind of like Queen Games as well using it for like reprints and new games as well, and that, I don't know. I know the board game industry isn't a huge, massive industry, and I'm sure there's not that many companies making a mint out of it, but to go to Kickstarter when you're a big established company, to me, just seems kind of against the ethos of it.
And Simon, again, does not have a dog in this fight. He's a customer.
No, I used to be employed by Simon, but they fired me, so that's...
Did they?
Can
you imagine that? Don't even say that, because they'll be listening in. If you say Simon 3 times, then somebody turns up from Simon and taps me on the shoulder.
I'd love it.
And says, Richard, we're never coming on your show. We're never coming on your show. Stop sending in support tickets back in our games, and then sending us in support tickets asking when you can get somebody on the show. That's not true.
But if you need a network engineer in about a year, if you're listening, Simon, I'll be there.
You hear that? He's not only going to be a customer, he's going to be an excellent employee.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, what could you want? No, I mean, there's games like, I mean, Assembly did really, really well.
Yeah,
and it's like Assembly's like doing so really well, and I'm like kind of, great. It's like Janice and Stu generally did really well, and I'm like pleased as punch because they are starting their journey, and that's really kind of cool. Yeah. And then you get like Mark McKinnon, like Wreck and Ruin,
yeah, absolutely,
who this is his 3rd time, and you know the game's now going to become a reality. And you can't say it's through lack of trying.
No, exactly.
But then you got to wonder if maybe a couple of other games that were kicking about that are hitting on 6 figures weren't about. Maybe he would have ended up with a couple of grand coming his way as well. I mean, you've obviously got guys like Joseph Chen, lovely Joseph, and he ended up doing 6 figures and did a really, really good job. So he was on, and you know.
Yeah.
But then there's like Last One In, and there's a new one out, Getaway Driver.
Which
I heard fascinates me.
I heard an interview with the designer today on a podcast that I can't remember, but it wasn't obviously this one. It was a much inferior podcast. Don't worry. I'm trying my best to get invited back here.
Yeah, the best is like it's like the Mystery Men. We are the best podcast. All other podcasts are 2 or lower.
And you're right. It sounds intriguing. It sounds really, really good. But again, I'm probably not going to back it. But I love the sound of it. I mean, the thing that I notice is a lot of these games end up being sold on second-hand sites. You know, like a month after they deliver. So you wonder why people have backed it. I mean,
are you talking about the big games? Are you talking about the small games?
The big games. Yeah. So many of them just turn up a couple of weeks after delivery. Like, either opened, played once, or...
Who wants to play Gloomhaven? Buy Gloomhaven second hand, get it here. And I was like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
But then I think the thing was when I saw, I think it was Mechs vs. Minions, and I've said this before, but the guy had pretty much opened the cardboard box that he'd had it delivered in and went, okay, Mechs vs. Minions, actually it's an unwanted gift. And it's like, how's that unwanted?
What is wrong with you?
What the It's like Angry Man shouts at Facebook page kind of thing. I almost went, are you joking? If it's an unwanted gift, I'll have it. Do you know what I mean? I'll do you a bargain. I'll take it off you for like, I think that was one of the ones that they did. Like Mechs vs. Minion was kind of like €60 or something, or not even that.
Yeah.
It was just ridiculously cheap for what they did. It was just, I think Panda GM kind of printed it.
Yeah.
Because I remember it was, Brent went on about that, and he says, he says, you know, we did a really, really good job, but yeah, you're right. That kind of thing, I don't get it. It's like, here's my entire green zombie side, Black Knight, Chucklevision Horde version, you know, with extra sponges, and you're kind of like, well, why did you even bother? Are they doing a quick flip? I mean, you can't be making any money out of that, because I've been posting stuff lately, and it's like, I regret actually selling. I've sold some stuff recently, and pretty much on some things didn't really make any money out of selling it, because sending it anywhere was costing me an absolute fortune, which is always kind of strange. I don't think Kickstarter is going to change. I think we're going to have to kind of live with it. I think what happens is the small companies are potentially going to have to spend longer, not on the idea, but on the shouting about the idea.
Yeah.
And I think they have to spend more time shouting about the idea than your Simons or your Mantics or Steamforged are ever going to have to do.
Yeah.
Because they don't have an army of guys kind of waiting behind, which is a shame. But we'll see. It's all about kind of like building it up and kind of taking it from there.
My worry is though that the people that have the best ideas aren't always the loudest shouters, you know, and it's you know, it's worrying that some good ideas could get buried beneath the kind of the marketing of the bigger companies. But hey, there you go. I'm just kind of repeating what I've already said in slightly different words, and slightly angrier.
No.
Actually, I'm getting.
I mean, you do sound a bit. You've moved up from you're a bit perplexed actually to slightly aggressive. I did step away. Yeah. I'm trying to step away and realised I've got headphones on, so I can't. It doesn't matter where I step to.
And boxes.
You're still gonna say. I know. I'm not joking. I should send you a photo, but you know, in fact, I'll do it just now, just live while we're here. I'm gonna send. And guys at home, you can just wait, because I'll put this on Twitter as well, so you can just see. I'm just gonna put one of those panoramic kind of. How do I do this? Right.
No, don't ask me.
I thought you were good way computers. I'm just gonna. What is this? Right. Okay. Let me just see. And this is just for Simon's DMs and nobody else's. I'm just going to take random photographs. Oh, no, that's got my arse in it.
I was going to say, these aren't things my wife's going to be concerned about.
Exactly. I thought you were podcasting.
She'll never trust me again.
Is it? Exactly. Is it? I always podcast naked. No, I don't. That's not true. Oh my goodness. I need to keep my mouth shut. Oh dear. Yeah, so that's it. I'm going to end up falling into some boxes. I'm just going to send you some photographs. Now, it's going to keep it like this, because so people are going to go, what?
Yeah.
So I'm going to send you this just now so you can see. just the randomness of this is my world. Do you think they should separate out Kickstarter? I mean, I've asked this questions of kind of obviously creators, and some of the smaller guys have said yes, it'd be really nice to have like that's a picture of my arm.
Oh my god, yeah. No, not your arm, just at the boxes. Your arm's fine. My word, that is a lot of... Escape from Colditz. Oh,
yeah.
I used to love that game. I haven't played it. My nan used to have a copy, so when I was sort of 11 or 12, I'd kind of play it solo. Yeah, with the kind of old version, but the new version looks really good.
Oh, the new version's like absolutely amazing looking. It's just they've got like little kind of they've got like the historical documents are still there, and it's got like a little kind of, I think it's got a little kind of story about how the new game kind of got made, and that's just really it's just really 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 kind of good fun. But yeah, I mean, as I say, as a consumer, would you prefer to have maybe here's the new guys, here's the old guys, and have them separated out in Kickstarter? So if you wanted to jump into your bigger guys, you could do that. Or do you think that people just wouldn't bother with a little new guy section? They would just go straight to the big guys?
I think if there was something kind of on the homepage that made it clear that that promoted them equally, then I think there'd be a chance that the little guys would do better. I think there are quite a lot of people out there that will kind of back the little guy, even if it's people seem more willing to take a chance on kind of a $70 Kickstarter from a company they know than kind of a $10 Kickstarter from someone they don't, which is kind of fair enough. But people have got to start somewhere. So if you have them both promoted equally on the front page, as soon as people go into Kickstarter, it's like these are the new projects today from either from independent designers or new designers, and then this is your on the other side is your kind of large big box stuff from companies. Maybe, I don't know. It's probably incredibly difficult to do and wouldn't make Kickstarter any more money, so I doubt they'd consider it. But in an ideal world, you'd want something like that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I was speaking to Ed Jowett the other day. Good old Ed from Shades of Vengeance, and he's got a card game on at the moment called Evil or Overlord. Take over the world in 5 minutes. And I think you can jump in for about, it's ridiculously, as normal as like Ed stuff's always really really kind of really really kind of inexpensive kind of thing. So I think you can jump in for like a £10 or £15 or so, $20 basically. You get the base deck, or you get the champion and the Overlord deck for about $40. And he's only asking for something silly like about $700 in order to make it a reality. In fact, sorry, it's $1,000 he's asking for, and $1,000 and or £759 if you're being picky. But he got the Project We Love badge.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they've gone up to, I mean, they were sitting at about maybe £1,300, and they've gone up to almost £3,000.
Yeah, just giving projects a push like that, and it's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's kind of strange. It's just one of these things. We'll see. I don't know.
But like you say, I don't think the landscape's going to change much. It's making people money on both sides, so why would they change it?
Yeah, exactly. In terms of you keeping up with stuff, I mean, media-wise, I mean, one of the things, I mean, we joke, and we missed out the joke, the reason that we do this, because we're already having so much fun. Did. I know, I'm going to get called out by people saying, you changed the format. You're not the podcast we used to know. Where's Colin?
I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced he exists on that note.
He does exist. Okay. It's just we've both been very very busy and trying to get stuff done. And every time we meet, we're like, oh, we should do a show, and then it just doesn't happen. and then I record again. And he says, so how many shows have you done since you last spoke? And I went 42, kind of thing. But
sorry, carry on.
Is there too much media out there?
Too much.
I mean, do you find, is there too much? Is there too much content creation? Do you end up kind of sticking to a couple of favourites, or are you encouraged to you kind of seek out new guys, or does somebody need to be doing something kind of different or special? I mean, you mentioned Katie Aidley earlier on. Yeah. I mean, she obviously she does her blog about kind of war games. Yeah. But to everyone like that is another picture of a guy standing or sitting in front of like a couple of shelves full of games.
Yeah.
I mean, is there is there kind of media that you're drawn to? Is there kind of media you would like to see that, you kind of feel is missing or is kind of lacking, or you kind of like, well, they're all kind of like the same. They're all trying to be quirky. They're all trying to be funny. They're all trying to really, I want to see somebody in a suit and tie. I want sharp.
That would be amazing, actually. Now you said it.
I want good cuts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want somebody looking like they're in business. Business. Do you mean business?
I mean,
kind of thing.
I do tend to stick to a few. I mean, the big ones that I've mentioned, kind of Shut Up and Sit Down. I rely on for quite a lot of the kind of games news, and I get quite a lot of Twitter as well. I find it quite hard to kind of just jump into podcasts a lot. A lot of them. I know you joke and say there's a lot of board gaming podcasts out there, and there are, but most of them seem to be American. And while I've got nothing whatsoever against Americans, because I know a lot of your audience is American, so hello.
Yeah, I was looking at the stats today, and I was like, oh my goodness. And it's the scariest thing is we're getting like downloads in Alaska, and I was like, I didn't even know anybody lived there.
Do they get Wi-Fi? I didn't know.
I just thought I don't know. It must be travelling in on the snow. I have no idea, because I was like, ages ago, I was kind of like, it was one. You set yourself goals. So I set myself goals because I'm a go-getter, and I'm somebody who's wanted to achieve things with my life. Which is why I'm spending Thursday night talking on the podcast. But no, basically, it's I was like going, I'm gonna get somebody downloaded an episode in all of the 52 states of America. Yeah. So I went on some kind of big hunt, and I was like, why does nobody live in North Dakota? I think I ended up tweeting at like the North Dakota tourist board to say, hey, any of you that ever play board games, do you fancy listening to me podcast kind of thing? And now I don't know, somebody's caught on, and like we get like regular kind of people listening. It's always strange. It's just very weird. But Alaska's happening.
Yeah,
I think that's down to the Cardboard Herald.
Oh really? I haven't heard of the Cardboard Herald.
I think they're based in Alaska.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
But
I just don't. Well, I don't think there are enough British podcasts anyway that I've found to listen to. I subscribe to a couple of American ones, but not many. But I don't know. It just gives some of the American ones are a little bit, enthusiastic, which is great, but it's not really my bag, so to speak. I prefer kind of the dry cynicism of a British podcast.
Just somebody kind of walking on and said, "Hello, and welcome to the Board Game Lemon. My name's Sir Chudley Warner. Yes. What are we talking about today? Well, today we're going to be having a good game of Ludo." That kind of thing.
That's it. Yeah, that's fine.
Or you just want something. You just want somebody coming out and go, "Board games are rubbish." All right.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much, just telling me what a horrible experience they've had with a board game or something. That would be perfect. Because a lot of content creation is about getting the news about new games out, and I understand that. But there's always a place for kind of criticism, which is, it sounds like I'm plugging them, but it's something that I think that Shut Up and Sit Down kind of approach really well, in generally kind of gentle mocking criticism rather than going over the top. But the criticism is still there, and it's it's not always valid to my eyes, but it's always there.
Yeah, I know, but it's the fine line between, and I used to see this in the video game industry, if you're a young content creator and you're trying to build a brand, and if you're one of the the type of people that that is trying to get people onto the show, or in some cases be in contact with the PR companies and be getting review copies of games. It's a fine line. Again, shut up and sit down have never ever relied, I guess, on... No. I don't think they've ever relied on anybody kind of doing stuff for them. I mean, I know that Matt, Paul and Quinns have worked their asses off over the last kind of 6 or 7 years, and you can't take away what they've achieved and what they've got. And I think they're in a nice situation where they can potentially be like... what's his name? They can potentially make or break a game.
Yeah, like the Dice Tower, kind of like the Dice Tower situation in the US.
Yeah. Well, remember Champions of the Wild, and they did an article on that, and then that game went on to kind of fund really well on Kickstarter. So you've got that kind of situation. I guess if you're young and if you're asking people for review copies. And then I guess if you kind of say, "Oh, I got this game review," and
sorry, it's
I played it in the bath because I thought the only thing it could be used for was potentially soap, and I felt unclean after playing this game. It was absolutely so bad.
Thanks for the game.
So thanks for the game. Yeah.
What's the next one?
Could we get the next one, please?
I'm always like kind of a little bit curious about this. Do you have to go through? Do a lot of the people you speak to have kind of PR representation? I suppose they don't, do they?
They don't at their houses.
No. There you go then.
I just rock up. I just turn up at the house. I'm like, do you want to do an interview with me? Whoa, who are you? I'm from We're Not Wizards. Why are you wearing that robe though? Shut up.
Why are you carrying a cardboard box?
just in case. No, I mean, I think we said before that the board game industry, the community just now, because it is still very much in its infancy, and there are very, very few gatekeepers apart from your bigger guys. I mean, I expect there to be gatekeepers at Simon and Steamforged and places like that. Doesn't mean to say I haven't spoken to Steamforged and Mantic, but that's beside the point. Haven't spoken to Simon bits because they don't like me. But
they definitely won't up for this one anyway.
They definitely don't care. Do you know what I mean? Look at my field of. No, but I guess no. I mean, lots of it's still a very symbiotic kind of relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's what it comes down to. I think that people will contact me. I'll get lovely emails from the likes, as I say, Janice Turner at Ren Games, who's like, "Oh, I really, do you mind coming on?" And I'm flattered by that somebody's taken the time. And then you get mass market kind of blanket emails saying, "Hey, we're wizards. Can we come on the show?" and and I say no.
Good.
But no, you do. I mean, I guess it's a symbiotic relationship because obviously we kind of people work together kind of really well, and you're opening up your listeners to a new experience or a new game, which can be a good thing. And also on the flip side of it, they have potentially people who are already part of their kind of social grouping that will hear about the podcast. It's always the way that we've done it. My big thing is always time. Because I could, if I probably wanted to, I could be recording 5 days a week.
Yeah.
I could technically sit down here and I could be recording 5 days a week. I would be standing by myself and I would be crying and rocking myself to sleep at night because I would be definitely alone.
Yeah.
But it's that kind of thing, and I think that's the frustrating thing is, and this is and this came up for the slicker trips kind of thing, which I'm going to jump into. Okay. People work hard making content. I mean, I know we joke about we don't edit, but even to kind of me to give you an idea, for me to take this show and then for us to have a chat afterwards, and then to get the files together, and then to line up the files, and then to go through, and take out all the swearing that you've been doing so far.
Don't tell my mum. Please, God, don't tell my mum. She won't be listening. She won't be listening.
I'm going to tell your wife and she's going to make her listen, so it's all fine. But no, I mean, to get a show out is 2.5 to 4 hours. depending on the thing. So that takes time. And video is even worse, because every time you do something, you've got to render it, and then after you render it, if it hasn't rendered properly or you've made a mistake. So Tom, somebody going down and saying, I'm not paying somebody for their hobby, it's like, well, actually, unless you got to be invested in somebody's content to be appreciated, and all the guys saying, listen, I'm at a situation where I'm probably spending lots and lots of time. In order to continue with this, I kind of need a bit of financial help, because financial help, what it does is it allows you to free up time to do other things. And it also, in some ways, and this is going to sound weird, that if I turn to my significant other and they say, why are you doing this 20 hours a week? You're going to work, then you're doing 20 hours a week. And if I say, well, actually what I'm doing is I'm doing 20 hours a week, but here is a wad of money that I'm getting, for it. All of a sudden, it's like, well, why are you sitting here? Get back up, get back upstairs and kind of film the video. So it's that type of thing, and it's like I didn't get that. I didn't get the kind of the backlash that's, he went on Kickstarter like everybody else, and asked and says, I want to get funded, and people were like going, that's terrible. I'm not paying for somebody else's hobby. It's like, well, guess what? You're the difference between him and you is he's actually decided to go ahead and try and do something, and he's reached a point where it's that equilibrium where if he continues with what he's doing, his income he's getting from his videos isn't going to be enough for him to continue to do it. That's what it comes down to. Because everybody knows the YouTube thing is kind of different.
I mean, a lot of people have had to do it, like no pun included, have had to do it as well. I think possibly Actual Lol as well. Been looking for funding. I mean, even Rado had some kind of crowdfunding.
Dice Tower does it.
Dice Tower. I mean, you can't expect like a one-man band to not need that, It's
Watch It Play does it.
It's like, that's how they make their money.
You never guess what? Shut up and sit down.
Yeah.
Okay, so they don't run a Kickstarter or something, but they've got a monthly thing that you pay.
Yeah.
And everybody knows that Matt and Quinn do their own thing on Cool Ghosts, which they've got a Patreon for. And everything else that they do as well. So I hate to tell you guys, but YouTube money is not a massive amount of money. Podcast advertising, you don't earn anything from podcast advertising regardless of your reach. So on occasion, people are going to be needing to have handouts because equipment costs money, time costs money, hosting costs money as well. It's just one of these things. Content is not free.
And if you appreciate the content, you've got to support it.
Exactly.
Nothing comes for free.
Exactly, and there's nothing. We've got a Patreon. We don't publish it. The reason we don't publish it is because I don't think we're great enough to be one of these guys that's earning hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month for the content that we produce, because we produce it lackadaisically. We do produce it on a regular basis, but I'm never kind of I'm quite comfortable in what I do. I enjoy what I'm doing. But, there's some people out there that are really trying to make a go. But don't shoot somebody down for spending 20 hours of their life putting content together. And if you're not watching it, then go and watch something else.
I mean,
but you're going to end up paying for it somehow.
Yeah, don't donate or don't. But, don't have a go at the guy. that's well beyond. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit kind of, it's a bit kind of rubbish. So, looking at the future, I mean, as game design or anything like that, I mean, are you quite happy just to kind of give me my games?
I mean, I think everyone.
Have you got a notepad, Simon?
Got a notepad.
Of course
I've got a Word document with rules in it. That's what I've got now. I'm working on one on the side, kind of. At the moment, I mean, it seems, everyone who plays board games wants to kind of get an idea out generally. So, yeah, I've got one that I'm kind of percolating through at the moment, putting a prototype together.
Don't you use your big words with B? Is it a game about tea?
It is not a game about tea, no. It's.
Why did you use percolator?
Because I like the word. It has a lot of syllables. It makes me sound intelligent, alright? Stop it.
It makes me sound exactly.
I don't know what it means.
Exactly, I just don't know. Loud noises.
But yeah, I mean, it would be, I'm messing around with it at the moment. If it goes somewhere, it goes somewhere, and maybe I'll, end up not getting funded on Kickstarter in 2 years' time. You never know.
Just like that. You could be joining us tonight is angry Simon Ayres.
Just me shouting why for an hour.
Screaming in the background. Going, oh yeah, well you like them, don't you? Oh, you'll give them 500,000, won't you? For what? Miniatures.
It definitely won't have miniatures, by the way. It definitely won't have miniatures.
You don't have miniatures. You're tiles guy. Oh, it's a coin, isn't it?
Yeah.
You like your tiles.
Yeah,
and
it's
your
probably going to be
chips and stuff
counted
like
and things, I think.
50 dice.
Yeah, a few dice.
Tables.
Yeah, a few tables.
Single player kind of automated rulebook thing that you can play single player.
Maybe. I mean, I just want to make sure it doesn't fall apart as soon as I look at it. So.
What's the theme?
It's about the Viking invasions of England. I know the kind of Viking theme has been overdone in the last sort of 5 years, but I had this idea first, so I'm sticking to it. But it's kind of like a 2-player asymmetrical kind of area control-ish wargamey thing.
Have you got a name for it?
No, not yet. I'm sure one will come. I did kind of start doing a cooperative one on the same theme, but that didn't seem to really work. I wanted to do something else, so I've used kind of I've bastardized the same map and kept a few of the same concepts.
Bastard! Can't say bastard.
No. You're gonna have to put this as explicit now.
I fucking can't say that. Do you know what's funny? The episode they did with Paddy Smith on iTunes has got a little E next to it. They must have scanned the file. It's really funny because the episode that I did with Jesse,
that was intense. That was very. That was
amazing.
Intense.
It was so funny. It's not got the little E next to it. It's not got the little explicit mark next to it. Yeah, I had no idea. Yeah, really.
God,
I know.
That's weird.
It's brilliant. It's fantastic. So, where can we find you on the internet webs, Mr. Simon? Your sir, your lord, your praise.
Well, I'm really only particularly active on Twitter, and I'm not massively active on Twitter. But hey, if that's not enough of a selling point to follow me, then I don't know. Don't really know what is. It's Ayres, all one word, _BG. Because someone else somehow had the normal handle that I use. So that's incredibly annoying when that happens.
It was me. Sorry.
But yeah, no Instagram or website or anything. No, I'm just me. I'm just a consumer.
That's all fine. Just you. Just a consumer.
Yeah.
The most powerful man on the planet.
Yeah, I'd like to think so.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, you're welcome.
This has been fun.
Thanks very much for having me.
Well, you know, I just what it's like. Just like to get folk on, and then eventually we record. then we have a chat.
Yeah.
And then I realise, I've got to edit it. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, if you want to keep an eye on what you're up to. I keep forgetting, we've got all these American people that listen to the show, and there's more folk in America that listen to us in the US. And I don't want to say howdy because that sounds like patronising. So I'll go, yeehaw, y'all.
That's much less patronising. Definitely.
It is less. I'll come back now, you hear? And if you want to be following us on the Twitters, then if you go to We're Not Wizards, and if you want to be following us on the Instagrams, you go to We're Not Wizards. And if you want to be following us on I can't do this. If you want to be following us on the Facebook, go to facebook.com/We're Not Wizards. If you want to find us on YouTube, search for We're Not Wizards. If you want to go to our blog, which we've written a couple of things, but not very good. You can go we're not wizards.blogspot.com. Read it, or we'll write some more stuff. Seriously. And there's Stitcher and Spreaker and Acast and Player FM and all these other places that you can find us. And if you do like us really, really much, then consider going to Apple Podcasts and dropping us a subscription, because somehow that makes everybody happy, even people that don't use iTunes. And the other thing you can do is, if you really like us, then please consider dropping us a rating or a review. Now, as we say, don't give us a 10, because it makes me big-headed, and I'm addicted, and I must be stopped. But don't give us a 1, because that makes me ugly cry. Give us something in the middle, like Simon, 5.
You're too kind.
Because it's average. and we're decidedly average. The both of us are average. But no, in seriousness, the one person that has not been average tonight is rather wonderful. They are fantastic. They are amazing. The most important man that you should be listening to and taking notes. I hope you've been taking notes, because otherwise you just done messed up. It's a Mr. Simon Ayres. Yay!
Yeah, thank you very much.
He gets a clap, round of applause.
Yeah, well,
There's only 2 more things to do. First thing is to remember that we are many things, but we're not wizards. Are we wizards, Simon?
Definitely not wizards.
Yes!
No jokes, just straight through.
Just straight, no joke, just like, you know what I mean? Just keeping it real.
Professional.
At all times. I don't have to edit any of this. And the second thing is to say goodbye. So it's a goodbye from, as I say, the wonderful, the fantastic, the guy that, you know what, see if somebody's got like Twilight Imperium kicking about out there, yeah? And you're just like sitting there going, I'm never going to play this because I've just not got time and I've got like 57 million board games. Get in contact with us and send it to me, and I'll send it to Simon, because that'd be cool. That would be cool AF.
I'd love that.
By the way, kids, boom. So it's a goodbye from Simon. Say goodbye again, Simon.
Goodbye again, Simon.
There you go, every single time. Hate yous all. And it's a goodbye from me. Remember, stay safe, roll 6s. Yeah, we like to talk, we like to rant, but we also like to listen. So if you have any questions, then feel free to give us a call or a shout or whatever. Tweet at us, we'll crave attention. But until the next time, goodbye.